Most people grow up hearing that erections are a uniquely male phenomenon, something tied exclusively to the penis and to masculinity. But biology has a way of surprising us, and the truth is far more fascinating than the cultural cliques. Women, too, experience erections, not in the penis, of course, but in a structure that is just as complex and just as capable of becoming engorged with blood, the clitoris. It is a fact that often slips under the radar, hidden by centuries of silence, embarrassment, or outright ignorance. Yet once this truth is uncovered, it changes the way sexuality and anatomy are understood forever. The clitoris is not just that tiny button at the top of the vulva, as many are taught in overly simplified sex education lessons. In reality, it is an organ that extends deep beneath the surface, with internal branches and erectile tissue that rival the male anatomy in both sensitivity and function. When arousal occurs, blood flows into this erectile tissue, the same biological process that fuels a penile erection. The result: a clitoral erection, sometimes subtle, sometimes striking, but always real. For many women, this response is the physical cornerstone of sexual pleasure, and yet, astonishingly, it remains one of the least discussed aspects of female sexuality. Why is it so little known? The reasons are as cultural as they are historical. For centuries, medical textbooks either skipped over the clitoris entirely or reduced it to a footnote, while mainstream conversation about women's sexual responses was cloaked in shame. Even in modern society, where discussions about sex are more open than ever, the idea of a female erection still provokes awkward laughter or disbelief. The irony is that every woman's body is proof of its existence. The tissue is there, waiting to respond, and when it does, it becomes engorged, firm, and highly sensitive, a mirror of the same mechanism men know so well. This is not just an anatomical curiosity. Understanding clitoral erections has profound implications for women's health and relationships. Many women struggle with the misconception that their arousal is invisible or less physical than a man's. They may feel pressure to perform in ways that overlook their body's natural rhythm. But once the concept of clitoral erections is embraced, it validates the truth that women's arousal is not abstract, not just emotional. It is physiological, powerful, and measurable. It gives permission to see female pleasure as real, concrete, and deserving of attention. Scientists have long noted that the erectile tissue of the clitoris is homologous to that of the penis. In embryonic development, both organs begin from the same tissue. One pathway creates a penis, the other a clitoris. This means that, biologically speaking, women's erections are not some quirky accident of evolution, but an integral part of human design. The fact that the two organs respond in such similar ways underscores how deeply shared the roots of sexuality really are. And yet, despite this biological parallel, the cultural conversation lags behind. Ask someone on the street if women get erections, and most will hesitate or say no. Some may laugh, dismissing it as a joke. This gap between science and public understanding shows just how much work remains to be done in breaking down sexual myths. After all, if half the population carries this extraordinary organ, why should it remain a mystery? The truth is that clitoral erections can be as noticeable and as significant as penile ones. They may cause swelling, a change in shape, and a heightened sensitivity that makes touch nearly electric. For some women, these erections are intensely pleasurable and are essential for orgasm. For others, the sensations are more subtle but no less important. Just as men differ in their sexual responses, so too do women. Each body carries its own rhythm, its own expression of arousal. Recognizing this diversity is vital. Too often, discussions about sex reduce women's experiences to a single template, as though there is one correct way to be aroused or one pathway to pleasure. But the reality is richer and far more varied. For some, clitoral erections are a dramatic and central part of intimacy. For others, they are quiet, almost invisible. Both are valid. Both are normal. And both deserve acknowledgement. What makes this topic especially powerful is its impact on relationships. Partners who understand clitoral erections can better attune themselves to each other's needs. They can recognize that arousal is not always instantaneous, that it builds as blood flow increases, and that patience, touch, and emotional connection all play a role. This knowledge deepens intimacy and fosters respect for the partner's body, not as a puzzle to be solved quickly, but as a complex, living system to be experienced fully. Medical professionals, too, have a responsibility here. Conversations about sexual health often center on dysfunction in men, with endless discussions about erectile difficulties and the drugs designed to treat them. But women face challenges too, from low arousal to difficulties in achieving orgasm, and clitoral function is a key part of this. Acknowledging female erections in clinical settings could transform how these issues are diagnosed and treated, offering women the same legitimacy and care that men have long received. There is also a psychological dimension. For many women, realizing that they experience erections can be profoundly affirming. It shifts the narrative from one of passivity, the idea that women simply receive pleasure, to one of active physiological response. Their bodies are not passive participants in intimacy, they are fully engaged, alive, and responsive. This recognition can build confidence, dissolve shame, and open the door to healthier sexual relationships. Of course, myths remain. Some still believe that female erections are rare or abnormal. Others dismiss them as trivial, as though they matter less because they occur in a smaller organ. But science and lived experience both tell a different story. They show that clitoral erections are not rare at all. They are universal, part of the shared human blueprint. And far from being trivial, they are central to understanding female pleasure and sexual health. The conversation, then, must evolve. It must move beyond outdated taboos and recognize that female sexuality is not a pale reflection of male sexuality, but a force in its own right. Clitoral erections stand as living proof of that truth. They remind us that women's bodies are not mysteries to be ignored, but wonders to be understood and celebrated. So, the next time someone claims that erections belong only to men, remember this: women get them too. They may look different, they may feel different, but they carry the same power, the same biological purpose, and the same capacity to transform intimacy. It is time for this knowledge to move from the shadows into the light, where it belongs. Because when it does, it not only changes how sex is understood, it changes how women are seen, respected, and valued.